Something that motivated me to apply for this experience was to kind of expand my knowledge on the Indigenous culture.
I wanted to step out of my usual boundaries and just experience life from a different perspective.
Our experience at Six Nations was very exciting, so it was a pre-departure trip.
It was to give us more context and training on understanding Indigenous ways of living, just being able to understand some context so we could draw parallels to Indigenous folks in Kaua'i.
It was nice to see how community-based Six Nations was, in a sense of, yes, you can be Indigenous living on the land, however they have a whole tourism aspect that they encourage people to kind of come onto the land and educate themselves.
Getting to immerse ourselves in First Nations culture, it was amazing.
My experience working with the community in Kaua'i was inspiring. It was nice to see a collective group of people come together to really celebrate what community was, and I feel like they embodied that through their concept of ohana, meaning family.
The people there are unlike anybody I've ever met, so it was just really, really heartwarming to be working in a community that was so close-knit, even though everybody was spread pretty far apart on this island.
We got to speak one-on-one with community members, really be out in the community, seeing what's going on, learning from each other, sharing knowledge, sharing experiences.
Every day we were kind of out doing things rather than, we had some class time, but compared to how much we were outside, it was phenomenal. Each experience was way different from each other. So one time we were throwing rocks to kind of build a rock wall to restore a fish pond. Another day we were getting educated on the Hawaiian culture. And then another day it was kind of building, like at the end we did a whole meal that we kind of educated ourselves of how they prepare their cultural meals.
Through this global experience, I learned a lot more about my own self-confidence and learned to trust myself a bit more as well. We had lots of leadership opportunities, which I was lucky enough to go through.
I learned that once I step out of my bubble, I'm able to interact with people more and make deeper connections.
Sometimes we don't understand what people go through or where they come from until you've had a chance to sit with them over a meal. And that was something that I found really beautiful. I've come away with this feeling like I have made lifelong friends, that I've met elders and community leaders who were gracious with their time, and I couldn't have asked for a better experience.
Being out in a community that kind of welcomed you and being around a community that values its Indigenous people and the culture around them, seeing it integrate into everyday living, it was eye-opening to what life could be when we accept Indigenous culture into our everyday lives.